Talks with Sheila Sistar and her co-host, Sheena.
Hey peeps, welcome to Heart Talks again. Welcome Sheena, my co-host.
Hi, darlings. Hello to everybody out there in the world. This is so exciting to be able to talk to everyone like this. It's just wonderful.
I know. We're so lucky. Thank you, Rachel, for always keeping us up to the cutting edge of all tech.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this knowledge with people.
Well, I'll tell you what, the energies have been amazing. My network of sensitives have been connecting with me. We're all going through some amazing transitions. And I thought maybe we could talk about the energies this week.
Absolutely. I got the same identical guidance because, like you, I always sit and say to the higher powers that be, the team and everyone, how best can I serve? What is it that they would like us to share? And so you and I we wake up the morning of the show and we always get the identical, we don't talk to each other during the week, but we get identical messages, which is wonderful. I got a very strong guidance to talk to everyone about the transitional phase that we go through, and this can result in what we call light body symptoms. Now, light body symptoms can cause your physical body to react in many different ways. And I think where I need to start is sense and sensibility. If you got information, you know that a shift is going to occur, plan your physical life around that first and foremost. Make sure the family's taken care of. Because if you're a sensitive being, I used to have to do this when I knew a shift was coming up. I'd have to make sure all my T's were crossed and my I's were dotted, meaning I'd paid the bills. I prepared the meal in advance because sometimes you don't feel 100%. You actually can't cook or even smell food. So if you are not in a position where it's just you and you've got others that you've got to care for, prepare, plan it, watch your calendar, know when these phases are going to take place. A moon calendar is a really wonderful tool to have. There is, you can Google, and I think that the people who do the galactic energetic signatures, the Mayan dream spell, they put out a most wonderful energetic calendar that lets you know not only the moon phases, but also the phases, the galactic energy that's coming through and that might affect the planet, when there's portal days, when all the different energies, and that's a wonderful tool to have because you can then plan your physical tasks around knowing what the energy is. So if you've got a massive energy shift coming in, get your physical work in place first so that you can have a chill out day and let the transition take place. There's nothing worse than you feeling like you've been run over by a bus and having to still function and, raise a family and be a domestic goddess. So that's the practical side of it. Sense and sensibility, if you know it's coming up, don't book any clients in if you're a healer. Give yourself that day to make the transition. I asked the angels once, so I had a transition and I didn't realise it was coming and it hit me and I couldn't see my clients and I felt like I'd let people down. And my guide said to me, Sheena, you can only do your best on any given day according to how well you feel. Right. So I had to explain to them I need to reschedule. I definitely gave myself that day. The other thing is when you're making a transition physically, it is always better to actually sit upright. I discovered it goes quicker. There's a reason for that. When information comes into our being, of course you can lay down if you wish and that feels more comfortable. You can sit cross-legged. Of course, always do whatever feels right for you. But I found the process was quicker when I sit. And I asked the angels about this. I said, do you need me to lay down or do you need me to sit? And they said, sit, please. And I went, oh, okay. And so I always ask millions of questions because I want to know the fine detail. Why is it better to sit than lay? And this is what they explained to me. The way that our energy current runs, we are upright beings. And so the energy comes in through the crown chakra and then it has to go through a process. And then it processes, and any energy that's coming in comes in and enters through the crown. Then it has to go through and become a concept. Then it has to become a thought, and then it has to translate into a language. And it goes quicker if it comes in, and it can have this vertical flow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found that when a transition happened, now when I sit, it just goes so much quicker than when I try and lay down. When you're laying down, your energy is running in a different direction. The same as when you give animals healing, because the majority stand on 4 legs, their energy runs parallel, their flow, and they receive energy through the base chakra, whereas we stand upright, our energy is more vertical with the earth, and so it runs in this binary flow. So that was one of the things that Angel said, to suggest that you might find the transition quicker if you sit up. There's many things that can happen when you're going through a transition, or the frequencies raising, or your codes are adjusting. These are simple techniques that I can recommend to you. Don't hesitate to ask your guardian angel, because your guardian angel is in charge of your DNA sequence, and each person's DNA sequence and coding is unique, to please assist you in pulsing you, which is usually white light, blessing, which means adjusting all your codes. Now, polarizing, which is bringing it into balance. It has to balance with the polarization.
That's the adjustment period.
Yep. Yes, and then the next part is, which will help you feel much integrated much quicker, is you can then say this little technique to them. Can you please then synchronize me? And then matrix. So it's a little step process. And once you say those words to them, they've got permission, and they go in and they just go, right, we know her coding, we know her DNA, we can go boom, 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 and it'll just sort of, it clicks. It's like a click. It'll click into place.
Right. Like all the cogs moving.
Yes, like cognition, because each person is unique in their individual coding. So there's wonderful things you can do. When you're raising your frequency or new codes coming in, your physical being is, of course, the densest vibration of light, one of the densest vibrations of light that you can vibrate at. So if you've been doing all of this amazing work in transforming yourself and bringing out vibrational energy that might be of a denser vibration to release through your own being, there's 2 ways that this can occur. You can do what's called a release, or you can do a transformation. Now, transforming it is like using the violet energy and transforming the existing energy. The release part, or white lighting, is like sterilizing. Yeah, so if you do a transformation where you work with the violet energy and you take the existing energy and you go, you know what, this is my energy, this is my journey, I'm going to transform it. Then what happens is, as you release and transform, it allows room for more light. So you're in actual fact expanding.
And that's what it feels like.
The thing is, what happens is before you get expansion, you always get compression.
See, always.
And it's the most uncomfortable feeling. It's like, it's like your clothes are too tight. It's like you can't quite put your finger on it, but you feel like you're compressed. That's because everything's ready to expand. Now, unfortunately, there's no fireworks. Unfortunately, there's no big bang. Unfortunately, because you get to this point where it's like, and you're thinking it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's like the orgasm you have when you're not having an orgasm and nothing happens. And it's like, and then nothing happens. It's actually like a breath. It's like a stillness. It's like you breathe in and you breathe out and it has occurred.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely work with your team. That's what they're there for. And if you sort of surrender into it and sit and just allow it to take place, it happens much quicker than if you resist, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, if you're feeling an energy that you are unsure of, do not hesitate to say to the beings that are your mentors and guardians, if this is not in my highest good or my best interest, please separate me from it. Because sometimes we feel energies that are coming through that are part of a temporal shift or they're from a solar flare. They may not be an energy that we necessarily need to experience.
Well, and when you're around people who have, a lower vibration, it can often affect you, and you need to know that this is not me.
Yeah. You don't have to experience it. Like, you can choose which concert you go to. You might not want to go and see the rap concert. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with rap. You might want to go to the opera instead. You can make a choice, definitely. And you can also ask your guardians to give you a buffer zone, which means that your energy is also not imposing on another being's energy, because we're all vibrating so differently. And some of us, as we discussed about different vibrations or frequencies, to honour our brothers and sisters who are also doing the journey, and they may be experiencing, as you say, more denser vibrations, that's where they're at and what they're experiencing to evolve and grow. And you may not wish to be experiencing that because you've already done it and you've gone, oh my goodness, no, I don't need to do that. Or I see you, brother. I see you, sister. Thank you for showing me your journey. I honour you, but I don't need to experience that, So there's lots and lots of things that you can do. There's something else that you can do to help your physical being make the transition. And because we are vibrating at a higher vibration or a lighter vibration, it can cause our physical being to dehydrate very quickly. And that dehydration is very similar to I've not ever suffered from a hangover. I have suffered once from being sunstruck. I fell asleep in the sun and I was very ill. And the doctor said to me, you're suffering very similar symptoms to a hangover. And I said, well, I don't drink alcohol. I'm crazy enough as it is. And so I can only imagine what people go through when they drink and consume lots of alcohol, which causes that dehydration. It was the same thing. So this can cause headaches and nausea. Now, there is something you can do, and something very simple as well, because it's really wonderful to treat your physical being with something physical at the physical. So years ago, when I was doing all my studies for my own clients, and I noticed a lot of the light workers were suffering with dehydration. And of course, I sat with Archangel Raphael and my own team and discussed what we could do. Now, there is a very simple product called Shesla's Tissue Salts Combination 12. Now, Sheila was a wonderful man, and he discovered, and you can Google him, I think it's Schue, Sheila, and the work that he did. Now, our human body is made up of what we call cellular salts and minerals. Mm-hmm. Now, there are 12 basic salts and minerals that make up the human form. If we were to burn this body, what would be left in the ash would be minerals and salts, which is quite fascinating because your body is usually made from the planet that you're incarnating on. So they're made out of the same elements because it's our consciousness that travels to various realms and dimensions. And so the physical form usually comes from that physical planet. Yeah. So I digress, sorry. So these Shesla's Tissue Salts Combination 12 are a fantastic thing to be able to take. They cannot hurt you. They are inexpensive, and the Combination 12 is the very best one that you can take because even though you're replacing lots of liquid, like drinking lots of water, that only replaces the fluid. It doesn't necessarily rehydrate you. So you could try that as well. A lot of my students use those and it assists them, especially when you're doing your channeling work and you're working in your mastery, and then you have to suddenly be grounded and you have to come down very quickly to be grounded. That can make you feel disorientated as well when you're working on a high vibration and then you have to come back to 3D. So again, to help that transition, to smooth it or lubricate it, so instead of you going vroom and you feel disorientated from a higher vibration to a lower vibration, you can use the violet flame. The violet flame lubricates it and helps you slide in a little bit more gently. Does that help?
Absolutely. The violet flame is, for me, a relationship.
Yes.
It is probably the most grateful and useful, and I mean to have this flame takes something of dense vibration and turn it into pure love. There's nothing better than that.
It is a consciousness in itself. Everything is a consciousness in itself, and the beings that work within those vibrational flame energies, rays, or whatever you conceive them to be. I, of course, work with Archangel Stellorio, who is the higher self of Saint Germain. And I think I touched very briefly on Archangel Stellorio. And so if you are inexperienced or unable to be this energy yourself and you are in a process of learning, do not hesitate to ask for it. Ask for help and guidance, and ask for the beings that could please bathe you in this violet energy. You will feel it come through if you're a sensitive. It's a state of being. It is really a lot of fun. White light, of course, is more a purifier. So you can use the both together. I always get the giggles because, when you're younger, you used to go into the disco and the violet light would shine on you and it would show up anything white, so don't wear white underwear under your clothes. So the two work in such beautiful harmony together. So you obviously had that experience. You had that experience. Yes, I never once had that experience. You can tell our age, can't you, darling? You can tell we've done discos.
Oh That's all I'm going to say about it.
So, I'm not saying anything else.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Now, when you were going through, and we touched base very briefly, I sent you lots and lots of violet energy, and I asked for the transition. I actually created an angelic aqua for it that you can drink to ease the transition, because I noticed when a lot of the beautiful, beautiful light workers were doing their mastery or doing seminars or workshops, afterwards it would take them a couple of days to recover because they were channeling so many different frequencies. And it does affect us. I also know that when I'm feeling like that I've had a wonderful shift. I don't, I used to be a bit of a sook and go, oh, I don't want to go through this, oh, this is terrible, oh, you know. And then after I realised this is a transformation and this is pretty amazing, and for me to actually be feeling it, I know that something is happening. I have a totally different perception of it now. I go, right, I'm ready for this. This is occurring. These are my physical symptoms to let me know something is happening. Now what can I do to help myself through this transition? And, you know, I'm usually in a state of joy, and some nights, like if they're the nights that you can't sleep, definitely time to get together with your friends and do something.
Right?
If you're feeling, yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to a lot of people who say they used to worry about not getting sleep. But if you really pay attention, there's nothing wrong with us. And
Absolutely. Yeah. I never slept for the first 20, 21, 22 years of my life. I hardly ever slept.
Yeah.
I then saw an acupuncturist because at the time my new husband thought that was a problem because I was just always awake. And so I saw the acupuncturist. I came home, I slept for 2 days.
got up. Well, and I do that too. I'll go for, it depends on what energies are coming in and what's going on. But I don't worry about non-sleep. I just,
No.
I talk to my people often. There's a lot of people awake at 3 a.m. on Facebook.
Absolutely. I find that I get more work done in the early hours of the morning when most of people are asleep, and that way the energy is just so beautiful and clear and still, and I'm creative, I paint. So I always say to people when they say they can't sleep, I say, well, don't lay in bed trying to sleep, because your body is not ready to go to sleep if you're not suffering. Use this time to be creative, or have a movie marathon, or, you know, do some baking, or do something. And
I know for people who, you know, have the 9-to-5 job that, you know, they're going to be a little worried that they're going to not getting any sleep and they're going to have to go through their day. It's that worry part that's making your day bad. It's not.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, there was a very famous entrepreneur. I don't know whether people knew that the great shipping tycoon Aristotle Onassis, out of every 24 hours, he would only sleep 1 hour and he would work the other 23. That's how he made his fortune. And also meditation, if you're a regular meditator, a 20.5-hour meditation, I don't feel like sleeping because the meditation does a very similar thing, because I slip straight into that alpha beta state and boom, I'm gone, and then I'm back and then I'm ready to go again, because you're renewing your energy all the time. So definitely, unless you're suffering from something I think they call sleep apnea, or there is a serious medical situation, definitely you have biorhythms, you have phases where the energy raises up. You'll have a 7-day phase, and then you'll have what we call a flat day, a down day, and then another 7 days, and you have a flat day to integrate, another 7 days and a flat day, and then another 7 days, and that's like the full moon. So you have these cycles, cycles within cycles. It's also important out of every sort of 7 days to have what I call it a down day, which is my level energy day, where my energy is just breathing. It's like the breath in and then the breath out. If you run on that high energy level all the time, and the angels explained to me it's better if you have the flow like this, like it's flowing. If you run on high all the time, it can affect your physical being with adrenal burnout. Plus, your body's not getting a chance to integrate. And then when this is what they explained to me coming, is that this can in some cases cause what mankind might label it bipolar, because you run really high and you're running really high like this, really wonderful, vibrating all over, and then all of a sudden you crash and burn. And it's like, well, what happened? Where did my energy go? It's because you're running on empty. Your body's designed to run like this and not on that high all the time.
Well, it takes discipline to pay attention to your body, it takes discipline to stop and meditate for a little while. It takes discipline to breathe correctly.
Yes, I don't breathe on this planet. Hang on a minute. And when I meditate, I stop breathing as well. And then all of a sudden I'll go, oh, okay, I've got to breathe. My body has to breathe. It's a good way to breathe.
Well, one of the Zen things that I'm practicing is to slow down, be more focused on the tasks that I'm doing, and I don't multitask anymore. I used to be the queen of multitask, and I don't do that anymore because I want to give all of my consciousness. So slowing down, I think, is very important. You can observe more what is going on around you. You can be more clear about your choices in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
No, you.
It's been, I am so very proud and blessed to have this network of sensitives that I've got. And I really, you know, if you can get a network of sensitives, that is very helpful, because the moment any one of us feels an energy shift, okay, we contact each other. Now, a lot of times, like here 2 days ago, I went like through the whole day wondering what the heck's wrong with me today. And then soon as one of my sensitives called and said, what are you feeling today? And I'm like, okay, now I know. And I'm able to then embrace it. And the thing that is erased by having this network is the fear that something is wrong. And like you said, now we embrace it and we celebrate that we feel like hell because we know that we are going to be better afterwards.
Well, yes. The other thing too is education. Having a little bit of knowledge can help sometimes. Like I said, as a sensitive being, you're not just going to feel your brothers and sisters. I remember years ago, I used to feel this energy shift. It was every 6 hours, and there would be this shift. And I go, what is that? Because I can feel the earth, and I can feel the moon and the planets and people and feel everything. And I kept going, what is that? Where did that come from, angels? And then I'd feel that whoosh again. So I asked the question, I said, what is this energy? It's every 6 hours. And it wasn't an earth energy where the earth every 3 hours releases and then brings in, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Anyway, the next day I had a beautiful little healing cottage in Campbelltown where I lived many years ago. And the next day this young man knocked on my door, and he was a man who studied the Mayan dream spell calendar. And he said, I've been guided to come to you, Sheena. This is how it always happens with me, Archangel Michael, or their angels will get them to knock on my door. They won't know why. They'll go, I don't know why I'm here, but I was told to come here. I absolutely love it. So he sat down, and he was able to explain to me what this shift is, and it is the galactic energetic signatures, the harmonics that are out past our solar system, because each solar system is held in an individual little bubble. And in between each realm or plane of existence or solar system is a void or a space. Because if they were to touch each other and if you could loop across to each one, it would cause a disruption because each one is a different vibration. So there needs to be a buffer zone, a gentleness in between each one. And I could feel this every 6 hours. And so it was really wonderful to have an understanding of that. And I was hearing the galactic shifts, because this loud ringing in the ears that many light workers get, that high pitch, you are hearing the cosmos, because the universe without is the universe within, and everything, we are the universe, if that makes sense. So what you're feeling is we don't go out, in actual fact, we go in to go out. For those that understand that will understand that. I'm sorry, I was a little bit vague there. But we're going through the heart to connect to everything that is. So that high-pitched ringing is, sometimes we'll get very high-pitched and you'll feel it go woo through your head, right? And you go, what's that? And that's what we call like an email or downloading higher frequency, and then it goes through that process where it has to translate. Now, that translation can take a couple of days. So if you've asked a question about something that you don't know about and you don't get the answer straight away, you're connecting to what we call the Ethernet or the cloud. So the answer will come in the form of energy into the crown chakra. It will then go through a process where it has to translate into a concept, and then translate into thought, and then translate into a language, your language. And it can only translate into your knowledge, the way that you perceive things. So then another couple of days later, you'll suddenly get that light bulb moment or epiphany moment where you go, boom, and the answer will just suddenly appear, and you go, oh, now I've got the answer. Or someone will speak it to you, or you'll see it. So all energy is felt like that. And the planets affect us as well, all their shifts. So as sensitives, I usually feel things within the earth a couple of days before it's going to occur, because everything does happen in spirit first. So sometimes I'll be standing in my kitchen and I'll actually be standing still physically, but I'll move sideways. And that sideways movement is sometimes usually earthquake, or the earth is moving, the tectonic plates are breathing and they're moving, or I will feel all those sort of things that are occurring before it occurs in the physical, because it's already happened. So it happens first in spirit and then it comes into the earth plane. But you can always, the angelic realm usually bring in events before they occur. They prepare things on the planet. So we'll know. You can always ring and ask me. I know there was a huge temple shift a few weeks ago. So as I said, one of the things you can do is have faith in your guardians, and you can say to them, if this is not in my highest good or in my best interest, please separate me from that. In most cases, the energy will stay, so then you will know, okay, this is something for my transformation. But sometimes it'll just separate, and you'll go, oh, okay, it wasn't meant for me. I wasn't meant to be part of that, or it's a wave coming through from the cosmos, or a solar flare. So many things affect us as sensitive beings, and you can't have both. You can't turn it off. Otherwise you won't be sensitive. But learning, educating yourself and knowing what they are, and working with your team, it's part of the experience. So with great blessings come great responsibility. So yeah, but those moon calendars or moon books are fantastic. I'm just trying to remember. I do apologise, I don't remember the name. If you Google moon calendar, galactic Mayan moon calendar, and it's not the long count. It was Jose Aguilas's short count that he brought in all the different energy glyphs, and he understood the galactic signatures, and he understood all the tones, because the cosmos is made of frequencies and tones, and it's quite amazing. Now music can also help the transition of these energies. Your favorite music, higher vibrational music. I remember when my teenage boys were growing up, and they'd be upstairs in their bedrooms and they'd be playing this woof, 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 woof music. And it used to drive me nuts. I'd go, what are they doing? And the angel said to me, they're grounding themselves. It's very bass energy.
Right.
I won't say the words that were connected to it, but apparently they were quite poetry put to music. No, I didn't understand those words either. But then there's the higher frequencies, like the operatic music, like Bach and Beethoven. They have sequences and melodies within them that will help your body make transitions much faster as well. But play your favourite music. You usually drawn to the frequencies that you like, or play your drums or play your harp or whatever it is. But those played with the heart energy, because there's different frequencies that can affect you. It's just wonderful. So, but you're looking good, darling.
Oh, thank you. Yes, collecting tools has been very important to me for a very long time. My very first column that I wrote, which I called Heart Talks, was back in the 90s, the 1900s. And it was very important at that point to share the spiritual tools that I was receiving. And I think, like you said, educating yourself, grabbing some tools to use to help you adjust, and like the music, like the charts, getting to know the violet flame. I mean, I think Jermaine is the one who introduced me to the violet flame.
I love working with the violet flame, and it's one of the very first flames I introduce all my students to, other than the white light. The other thing, if you're a sensitive being, you can use essential oils to help you make a transition. Frankincense oil is like the king of the oils, and rose oil is like the queen of the oils. You can buy a therapeutic grade where you can ingest it. They can help you. There is something else that you can do that is very, very simple that we did in ancient times, but that knowledge gets lost. And if you have ingested a lower vibration, now I'm going to describe it like this, and you have to forgive me because it will make you remember it. There's another type of energy that you can walk into. Now, it's like when someone farts and leaves a room, there's a bad smell. You walk in and you can smell it, but the person's left. Now, that's just to make you remember it. Well, we can create dust, and you can go to the supermarket and then you'll be walking along perfectly fine, and all of a sudden you'll feel ill, and there's no one around, no one's caused it. But unbeknownst to you, maybe 10 minutes beforehand, a young couple may have had a very, very bad argument and left the dust of that behind.
Absolutely.
And you can ingest it. Now, there's another thing that can occur where no matter, it can be the finest organic ingredients that have been bought, but if the person preparing the meal is not in a happy place, it doesn't matter how the food is, you can eat that. I used to I love fish and chips, and I'd have to check. I'd always have to bless anyway. You should always bless. Now, blessing your food is actually energizing the food for your frequency.
Right. How simple is that?
Yeah, it's so simple. And so you actually hold your hands on the plate or over the glass, and of course you give deep gratitude for what you're about to receive. But by asking for it to be blessed, you're actually asking for it to be adjusted for you and have any energy that's perhaps not in your best interest there. I would always have to check if the husband and wife that ran the fish and chip shop were having a good day or a bad day, whether he was out the back banging pots when he was cooking or not, because the food was great, but sometimes I'd stick a chip in my mouth before I blessed it. I'd be over this thing vomiting up the energy, and I go, darn, I forgot to bless it. I was just, that smell, hot chips with salt, and you just can't wait. So once you've ingested something, it is a little bit more difficult to clear your energy because your soul plane runs not only on the outside of your body, but it runs through a channel internally as well. So once you've ingested it, it can be a little bit hard. This is what causes viruses, and people still don't know, you've got a virus that'll last for 27 hours. It means it's gotten into your physical system. So you can do the simplest thing and take charcoal. Now, charcoal's pretty amazing because charcoal, in ancient times we knew this knowledge. Now, the trees when they're alive, we have a symbiotic relationship, and it was the terraforming was set up on this planet for this. The trees breathe in the carbon dioxide and they breathe out the oxygen. We breathe in the oxygen, we breathe out the carbon dioxide. But they do something energetically as well. They take lower vibrational energy in, they transform it, and they breathe it back out. This is our relationship with them. And there's beings and guardians with the trees. There's the druid race came to help us with that. And then there's dryads that are like a guardian that look after a tree cluster as well as the spirit of a tree. So when they're alive, this is what they do. But once you take the wood and you burn it, so you're adding the flame, it creates a black hole effect. And so if you've, this is how they treat a drug addict when they go to hospital, they will ingest and pump them full of charcoal to suck out all the toxins. But it does it energetically as well. It will suck out any lower vibrational energy that you have ingested. And, of course, it's really good to buy the baby wipes and wet ones because it will change the nature of you when you go to the loo. You'll need that. You don't have to take them permanently, just one or two. And if you absolutely say what intention you're taking them for, that needs to suck out the energy that you've ingested, you'll find you will recover so quickly because once that energy has to pass through your system, it can cause symptoms like diarrhea and all sorts of things and make you vomit.
And you're talking capsules that you can ingest.
Yes, you can buy them. They usually, over the counter, you usually do not need to have a script. They're usually for flatulence. That in itself, it helps with that. But, and that's usually a lot of excess energy. People usually have lots of energy when they've done light work. And so it can come out in all sorts of various ways. It's better out than in. So these are just practical things if you've come into contact with different types of energy that I can give you. Clearing internal energy after you have digested it or ingested it is a little bit more tricky than clearing it if it's just come into your auric field. But these are practical ways. Of course, violet light all the way through, but for your physical system, the charcoal is a really great thing. When my children would come home and if they started to feel like ill and they go, oh, Mum, I feel sick, I've got a virus, a charcoal tablet would usually fix them up and they'd be right the next day. They don't have to take it very often. It's not something you would take constantly. I always let my students know to have that as part of their energetic first aid kit. You have first aid kit, you have your frankincense oil and you have your charcoal. And they're things that can just help. In ancient times, we understood and we would use the charcoal from the fire. The charcoal is an extraordinary absorber. Yeah, absorbs because it takes it into that black hole energy, and it's a wonderful thing. So like I say, if you're such a sensitive being and you've gone out somewhere and you've been in what I call dust and you've inhaled it or you've ingested it and you just don't feel right, these are just some little things that you can do to help yourself.
And what about for folks who have that 9-to-5 job? They're in the office with other people who,
Okay. Aura spray. Aura spray, you can just make. It's not offensive. You're not offending anyone else. Have a little bottle in your bag. You can spray your aura. If you're working with computers, definitely use the app in the computer to help with those energies. But you can always take like an onyx or black tourmaline crystal. You can have it in your bag or your drawer, which will help with those energies. Use whatever works for you. Crystalline technology is amazing. Also, if you've got someone who is perhaps being inappropriate, speak to them and say, are you okay? Are you having a good day or are you having a bad day? You can help communicate with your fellow workers and find out why they're behaving the way that they are. Or, maybe it's something that you could help them with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and as sensitives, most of the time that is our job anyways, but, communication does open things up, and even if the other one doesn't want to respond well, at least you have opened yourself up.
Yes. Yeah, and if their behaviour is really, really inappropriate, it is okay to say to someone, I find that please don't speak to me like that, or please don't direct your anger at me. Or if they're angry at you, say, if you're angry at me, please tell me why, so we can address this and act like adults. And if you're in such a toxic environment that is you're surrounded by everybody, you're outnumbered, look for another job.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to.
And what about our children now? These energies, are going through our children.
They're born into it. Remember that their DNA is born into this vibration, so their body is set at a different vibration already, and their vibration is higher. There's many, many sensitive children coming in, but there's so much knowledge out there about diet, about organic food. Most children will let you know what they need, and they're very different. They definitely be mindful about technology and how much technology they're exposed to. Some of them are just brilliant and they come from a technological race and they can handle it. I met many beautiful mothers that are raising their children their own way, and they do homeschooling because the mainstream system may not suit them. But you've got to accommodate to the child. The child can usually let you know what they need and where they're at. And you can also seek advice of other light workers. I'm very blessed that people ask me about the children, and I'm able to let the mothers know what the child has come to do so they can guide them in the right direction education-wise for them to step into their purpose. Energy-wise, of course, a child comes under a mother's and father's energetic aura and care until they reach puberty. And so teach your child the violet flame. Teach your child to ask for their guardian angels and guides to help them. They're very awake. They're very aware. I have some gorgeous friends, and their little boy is so switched on, and he talks to Archangel Raphael and he talks to Archangel Michael. And we had an event in my shop once, and we needed we did a surprise wedding for his mum. We organised everything. She thought she was coming just for a visit, but they actually had a beautiful Druidic wedding on the deck and we had everything. So I had asked him, I needed him to do something for me, and I said to him, now, darling, I need you to be a doorkeeper. Could you stand at this door with Archangel Michael and just make sure nobody comes through just at the moment? Well, he stood there with his little wand, and I had Archangel Michael standing next to him just chilling and hanging out. You know, that little boy would not let anyone pass. No, I'm doorkeeper. You can't come in. Sheena, this person wants to come in. He was just adorable. And he's just amazing. And they're so... Children, because their chakras are not open until they reach puberty, they have a seal, they have a cap on their chakras. We should do a whole show on this for parents with sensitive children, because the webbing can become cracked and come off and cause them to feel uncomfortable. And it's a very simple technique that a parent can do to help seal their children's chakras, the little cap, the protective cap on them, back up so that they can be comfortable again. So that's a whole show in itself and a technique to teach parents. So be mindful that they are under your care, and so if your child can't receive the healing directly, the parent can receive the healing and it be filtered straight through to the child. And that goes for adoptive parents and surrogates as well, because they take over that role. I don't know if there's the mother also has a divine right to speak to a child's guardian angels. I wish I had known that when my boys were growing up. I could have 3 kids there. That was just a mother has the right to command, which means lovingly request, command a child's guardian angel. I need my child to settle down. Can you please help my child? Or I need my child to be able to focus and finish their task or their homework. Can you help them with that? So you can do this as a parent. You have this right. Many parents don't know that. So I'm only giving things that you can do energetically. And if you need to speak to your child about a difficult subject or have a family meeting, you can speak to the children's guardian angels first and let them know and say, when I speak to the children, I need them to understand. Can you help them understand what I'm trying to let them know about boundaries and things like that? Yeah, so I hope that helps.
When I was raising my teenagers, I did not know how people did it without spirit help. I was lucky. I already had my hearing had already hit. I had help. I don't know how people do it without help. It is the hardest job there is. And without, excellent. I just don't know how they do it. What a struggle. What a struggle.
Well, I had to have that experience without that knowledge, so that the higher powers that be had made a decision that when I was in my 20s, they needed to turn my consciousness down so that I could walk the path of humanity, so I would gain that knowledge, because I didn't know, I didn't understand. And then they turned that consciousness back up after I'd given birth. But I had to do it in a very grounded, earthly manner, so I would know and so I could help others. You were very blessed, and you were meant to do yours the way that you did yours. So with us sharing this information, I just think parents are extraordinary. The beings that have put their hands up to bring another being in as well as be their parent, it is an amazing task. Absolutely. But, So do you have any more questions?
Well, I think that kind of covered all the ones that I had. Collecting tools is so important. And I was taught that there are some tools that you wear in your tool belt right here around your waist, while there's some that you can keep in your backpack. that you don't
Yes.
use as often. Breathing, doing my proper breathing is one that is right here on my tool belt. Coming back to the now, that is a tool that is in my
Yes.
tool belt. Those are the kind of tools that I've collected and keep with me very close for quick access.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and that's just like what my network of sensitives are. Is we are a quick tool to one another, so that because once you take that fear away, once you take that confusion away, once you realize that this is incoming energies, it is affecting your DNA, you are adjusting, and I generally say I receive and adjust easily and effortlessly.
Yes, yes. Part of that is, as you said, 50% of the healing or the acceptance is just letting go of the fear and having faith, and sense and sensibility. Always provides. Yeah, tools are just wonderful. I remember I was so sensitive. I remember because I make jewelry. I remember I used to make what I called a back strap, and I'd make a string of crystals that would hang down my back off my necklace. Yes, but it's a bit awkward when they get caught and the crystals break and you end up with a knicker full of crystals. That's not a good look.
Yeah, where do you keep your crystals? In my knickers.
So don't tuck them into your pants because that doesn't work.
Oh, live and learn. I mean,
the things we used to do, I don't do that anymore. I get a message to let people know there's another thing they can do if they're close to greenery or a park is definitely go for a walk in the forest or park. But again, if you bring something into your conscious mind and if you consciously need to lean up against a tree and actually ask the tree, can you please help me with this energy, and allow that you consciously ask telepathically. That's why people do go around and hug trees and feel wonderful. But is because they actually can assist you. And so the dryad that's in charge of that particular area or park will see that you've consciously asked the tree to help, and the tree can draw this energy out. And flowers all hold a particular vibration. As you know. So, yeah, these are all, we are surrounded by so many living things that are here, and all we have to do is ask.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lovely show, and I thank you again for, I love it that we can just begin a show and know exactly what we're going to talk about.
Well, I actually don't. It just comes out. I just sit and I just talk, and I love that too, and I love that we can share this. So if any of this knowledge helps anybody, it's beautiful. So I enjoy it.
It is, and as I tell Rachel all the time, there she is just working so hard and checking out numbers and everything, and I'm like, well, if we've helped one person, I'll do another show.
Well, by labelling them too, Rachel educated me, and it's called On Demand. A lot of my students and my friends have actually been having fun watching them because they've done these actual classes with me. But by going back and watching the YouTube, they said, oh my goodness, there's so much more. They have greater understanding. So each time they watch, they get more and more out of it. And they also love the fact that you and I are like a couple of teenagers together. Get the giggles, when we should do comedy.
Not very professional, that's for sure. It wasn't intended to be that way.
No, but I'm so glad. I just have to put a plug in for JP Sears. He is such a cracker. He's such a hoot, and he's such a wonderful comedian. You did see one of his little YouTubes. my Australian sort of sense of humour. It's not meant to offend anybody, but if you can take yourself lightly and have a giggle and have a laugh, it really is a wonderful, it raises the vibration instantly. So,
Absolutely.
I'm glad you enjoyed JPC. You're so funny.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, all right, folks, we'll be back next week with who knows what subject, but I know we'll have a good one.
I can tell you just very briefly. Now, this is Archangel Nathaniel. Now, Archangel Nathaniel is an archangel that came into the earth realm to assist you in moving very quickly. He's got a brilliant golden red aura, and this was for an exhibition in an art gallery. He's just gorgeous. You can always help him if you're making a transition. He'll speed it up, I tell you. He'll get you moving. So,
you know, we should do a show where you talk about all the angels and what their area is, and so people can start establishing a relationship with those.
Absolutely. I think the best relationship is the one you have with yourself, number one, and then speak to your own amazing guardian that was assigned to you because you were given everything you needed before you were born. And that guardian will, of course, call in what you need, but I'd love to do that. I can definitely do that.
Great. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Namaste.
From our heart to yours, Heart Talk with Sheila, Sistar, and Sheena. More information, Heart Talks Online.